Hello, everyone, and welcome to Logosynthesis Expanded Abilities Demonstration. Hi, Sarah. So happy to have you here. My name is Lori Chortkoff-Hops. I'm a licensed psychologist in California in the United States, and right now I have the sound of fire helicopters outside my window. I am safe. I am not evacuated, but you never know what happens during this type of fire season that we're having. So hopefully we will move along without interruption. And I welcome you all here today. So you are in the driver's seat for this session. I am just your guide and you are the driver. So welcome and thanks so much to our team that is here supporting us, and thanks to you for being here. If you'd like, you can take a moment of gratitude for all that is here and all that we are working on together. If you have a special acknowledgement for the land that you are on, maybe take a breath and thank those who have come before and who will come after. So in this next bit of time, you're here to take in what you need and leave the rest behind. You can review it later because of the recording and with fresh eyes. And I am just offering suggestions. So what are we going to do in this time together? We're going to do an overview of what are expanded abilities and why they're important, how logosynthesis might be able to help you access more of your own expanded abilities. We're going to do a guided group exercise and demonstration, and my dear friend Alan Rojas Yacolca will be joining me and has agreed to use himself as a demo subject. So we will be using him to explain what he's going through. And in that way, you can compare and understand his experience maybe to your own, especially if you're new to this and get a little confused, which we all do when something's new. We are going to remove blocks or achieve goals or both. And we'll talk briefly about the general benefits of logosynthesis, have some time for question and answer. And I also have information about how to contact me, my website, podcast, email, all of that. So here we go. So what are expanded abilities? So briefly, these are means or skills to do something that you either haven't ever done before, or you have, but they are not currently accessible. You've lost them somehow. And this is your birthright. We are all allowed to grow and change and discover as a foundation of life itself. And as our abilities expand, we're able to do more of that. And so even if they've been buried somehow, or maybe you think you can never do this, but to try something new and see what happens. This is the gateway to things like creativity, physical prowess, emotional capacity, and consciousness exploration, amongst other things. And a case in point for me, I did not know how to draw beyond stick figures, just simple drawings. And that was 10 years ago. And I challenged myself to take an art class with intuitive art. And 10 years later now, I am able to do pretty good representations of people, for example, from a photograph, maybe not immediately, but over time, and abstract art, things that I never thought that I could do. But I challenged myself through tremendous blocks to be able to do this with a very gifted teacher. So this is just one example, but it doesn't have to be in the creative arts field. So how can logosynthesis, let me just go back a second. Okay, good. How can logosynthesis help? Well, logosynthesis allows us to access our unique thoughts, feelings, emotions, and physical sensations, amongst other things. It helps us remove blocks and achieve goals. And so we're no longer stuck and we can be in flow. And like Dr. Lammers said, everything is energy. It's either stuck or in flow. And energy either belongs to you or it doesn't. And we're going to be exploring this in a few minutes, a little bit more carefully, more closely through the demo, where we use some sentences that help achieve these different states of consciousness for yourself. The important thing to remember is that we work one layer or one issue at a time, slowly, as much or as little as you can tolerate or are curious about in the moment. And so it's very easy to stay focused and not get overwhelmed. And many have found immediate and lasting relief from this method. So back to expanded abilities. These are your abilities. You have more abilities now, maybe than ever before as you develop and grow. Or maybe you had more when you were younger and you've lost them. For example, sometimes people look back fondly to early childhood when there was less constraint from what we call the matrix, demands of 3D reality in everyday life. And you may find that you have more exploration maybe when you're dreaming or sleeping or relaxed, but even more are awaiting you when you say yes. So here's two examples that I'd like to share. How far can you see beyond your immediate surroundings? And I don't mean this metaphorically, I mean it physically. So looking around right now, maybe you're bounded by walls, so you can't see through them necessarily. But when you go outside, you can see farther. When you go high or low, you can see in different ways. It depends, is there fog around you and so on. And also, can you make a rainbow with the sun? And this is not a fanciful question. It's a reality question based on 3D. So I'll let you think about that for a moment, and then I'll show you some examples that maybe will change your mind about how these can be answered. So here is a picture that I took on the top of a mountain called Haleakala in Maui, Hawaii, in the Pacific Ocean. It was a couple of years ago. And if you see there's a rock and some scrub, some foliage, clouds. There was tremendous clouds moving very quickly. And I took this quick picture and there was like a tunnel that opened up. It actually almost looks like a heart, kind of a heart shape around here. Mm. And if you look through to the heart, you see this blue. And I knew the distance because that is the Pacific Ocean. And I was on the top of a mountain, 10,000 feet, or I'd change it to kilometers for those who use that system, quite high. Now, obviously, if you've been in an airplane, you can see more than 10,000 feet below and around. But this does change the idea of what can you see? And the thing is, it was completely effortless for me. I simply was there, recording this beautiful moment. And I had an expanded ability that moments before were not there because of the fog. So things can open up that simply. And here is a beautiful example of making a rainbow with the sun. At the top of this mountain, you can see the rocks. I was at the very, very top. And there was a cloud bank in front. And think of that cloud bank sort of like a screen in a movie theater. The light from the film is coming from behind me, and you can see these dark shadows on the rock as myself standing there. And way off in the distance, you see a tiny arc of light and little dark figures in between. And this is myself and my husband standing. Our shadow is being projected out to the clouds in front of us, with the sunlight behind us and a rainbow around us. The solstice rainbow, this was on the winter solstice. And it was the most incredible feeling. I was so excited because as I moved, my shadow moved, just like a shadow puppet on the wall. Except the wall was not the wall, it was the clouds. And the sun directly behind us. It was just an incredible moment. And if you want to look it up later to see better pictures of this at higher resolution, look up Broken Spectre, and you will see this. So these are just two small examples of expanded abilities that were natural to me, that were in the environment, and I had to do nothing but just show up and notice. So now we begin as a group to focus on expanded ability for you. So right now, just take a moment and choose either a block that's an obstacle in your way of an expanded ability or a goal, something that you hope to achieve. And think about what it is. If you can't think right now about what it is, that's fine. We'll be having Alan help us with that, and you can follow his story and then come back to this later at the recording and try it again. Think about achieving this ability in the here and now as if it's already with you. And notice, what is your reaction? What are you sensing? What are you feeling in your body? What are you imagining? Is there a message that's coming to you or a belief? Maybe it's something that you're seeing, something that you're hearing, something that you're saying to yourself, even a memory. And just jot it down. And Alan, do you have one now? I hope.
I have two, but I don't know which one to choose. So,
Which one has more oomph for you?
okay, learning to play the guitar.
Okay.
I can see myself playing the guitar and singing in front of a
Okay.
fire thing by the seashore.
So you're playing the guitar by the seashore and singing?
Mm-hmm.
Lovely. Okay. And can you tell us about your reaction to this scene?
I feel powerful, very expressive.
Okay.
It's like when you're reading a book and you get to a new chapter, there's something new that emerges.
Yeah.
This is it's like something that's been awaiting to be voiced out, and it's exciting.
Okay. And is there anything that you feel in the here and now that's blocking you towards learning to play the guitar by the sea and singing?
Yes. I can imagine my voice sounding hoarse. Like at least I need help with the English. Kind of when you sing off key
Yeah.
and it's embarrassing.
Yeah. Okay. And what reactions do you have when that comes up?
Oh, I feel embarrassed and scared that somebody may judge me.
And do you have any body reactions?
Hey, like I shrink.
Okay. Shrink.
Yeah, I shrink and kind of um lower my eyes and
Okay.
I blush.
Oh, okay. Wonderful. That's plenty to work with. Thank you. What a rich image and a great reactivity. So some of you may be having your own reactions. And so we're going to move on. These are some common reactions to blocks and goals that people may have, and you may see yourself here. You might say to yourself, I try, but it doesn't work. So you struggle without success. Or you say, I can never do this thing. And the idea here is it's impossible. Or I can imagine it for someone else, but not for me. Thinking that it's not mine to have. Someone can have it, but not me. Or I can do it, but I haven't done it yet. So it's something in my future. So this is something that's a little bit more positive in terms of the idea, but it's still not in the here and now. And you may say, my ancestors knew how. So it might be that you're borrowing from other times, places, or people. If you believe in reincarnation, you may think that this is something that I've been able to do in another time or place or in another part of my life. And so you can borrow from other experiences. So now the next part is to rate how intense, strong, or present your reaction is now. And the scale, as we said, is 0 being absent. So you wouldn't rate that because it's not there. Or a 10 is the most intense. So Alan, if we talk about blush, lowering eyes, or shrinking, are one of those still present for you?
Yeah,
And what is your rating from 0 to 10 on that?
6.
Okay, very good. Thank you. So I ask people, even though, of course, we can all remember usually a single number, after an experience that we're about to have, you may find that you're in a different state of mind. And it may not be so easy to remember what your triggers were at this moment. So jot them down along with that number that we just decided from 0 to 10. And we'll be coming back to that. So far, so good, Alan?
Yeah.
Great. Oh, I'm on the C with you. Okay. So now we're going to get to the trigger or the core of your reactivity. So focus more closely on your response. What do you see? Alan saw himself with the guitar. We don't know if it was from first person or outside of himself, but he was at the sea. He had that visual. What is he hearing? Probably the singing or maybe the guitar. Touching, maybe his fingers are touching the sand or touching the guitar strings. Smelling the smell of the sea or sensing in his body that shrinking feeling, the lowering of the eyes and the blushing. So one of these things is going to become your target that we're going to focus on next in the 3 sentences. This is the X. It's not your X. It's not my X. It's this X. So we don't want to personalize it. We don't need to own it. Alan doesn't need to own the shrinking, the lowering the eyes, and the blushing because he wants those states to kind of go along and move out. So it's the shrinking, the lowering eyes, or the blushing rather. And Alan, what is there a name you'd like me to use to help you identify this trigger or core for you?
Oh, it's the sound of my voice off key.
Okay, sound of voice off key. Super. So that is your X.
Hmm.
Sorry, that is the X.
The
Okay, Alan, are you ready?
hmm.
All right. Oops. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is go through a series of sentences. And if you're new to this, you don't need to memorize anything and you don't need to really understand anything. I'm asking you to just go with this experience. If you don't want to do it for yourself, watching Alan as an example, and the reason for the words and how they appear and why they're there can be found in a larger setting than this through books and so on. So we're just going to go through this as a demonstration. There's going to be 3 sentences. We're going to say them slowly, slowly. You can say them with me muted, or you can just listen to my voice. And the first is this: I retrieve, and just repeat that. All my energy bound up in, and this is when you say the X for you. So for Alan, it'll be the sound of off key, sound of voice off key. And take it to the right place in myself. And just breathe and let the words do the work. And so once again, slowly, I retrieve all my energy bound up in X and take it to the right place in myself. Whatever's coming up for you is fine. Just breathe through it. You can drink some water. Keep breathing. And we're going to move on. Alan, are you ready to move on, or do you need another moment? You're ready. Okay, thank you. And Alan, if you feel comfortable, you can unmute yourself
Very well.
and repeat after me if you like. We're going to move now to the second sentence.
Mhm.
I remove
I remove
all non-me energy
all non-me energy
bound up
bound up
in X
in the sound of voice of key
from all of my cells,
all of my cells,
my body or bodies,
all of my body,
and personal space,
my personal space,
and send it
and send it
to where it truly belongs.
where it truly belongs.
And again, I remove all non-me energy
And remove all my energy
bound up in X
bound up into
from all of my cells, body, and personal space,
all of my cells, my personal space,
and send it
and send it
to where it truly belongs.
where it truly belongs.
And just breathe and let the words do the work. And maybe have some more water. And Alan, are you ready to move on, or you need another minute? Yes,
Right.
okay. And remember, with the recording, you can pause and take your time. And this is the final sentence for today. I retrieve
I retrieve
all my energy
all my energy
bound up
and
in all my reactions
all of my emotions.
to X
So my voice of key
and take it to the right place
into my
in myself. And breathe. Yeah. And one more time, I retrieve all my energy bound up in all my reactions to X and take it to the right place in myself. Okay. Now, in a session, you will take the time you need and go through this maybe more than once. But for the purpose of the demonstration, we are going to move along. Take a breath. And now we're going to check in. So go back and look at your notes or think about the block or the goal that we started with a few minutes ago using your word X or your phrase. And now check in again. How intense, strong, or present is this for you now? Now, if something new came to mind, let's hold that aside but go back to the original word for word and rate it again from a scale of 0 to 10. And please write that down or record that. And also compare, is there a change? Is there a shift in your reaction, in what you're experiencing in this moment? And so, Alan, do you feel comfortable sharing this awareness right now?
Yeah. The scene changed. I went from embarrassment to just laughing together. I mean, it's something that happens. It's not a big deal. And I feel space in my throat wider, like more open.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Singing is fun.
Nice. And are you shrinking still?
No,
And are your eyes lowered?
no,
And are you blushing?
no.
Okay. And what happens when I say sound of the voice off key?
Yeah, that happens. That's part of the process. So,
Even
yeah,
Maria Callas.
yeah, yeah. Even the las rojas. Yeah, it's fine. It's all right. It's part of the
Yeah,
process.
yeah, it's part of the process, how we learn.
Mm,
And then what was your rating of intensity? It was a 6.
it was a 6.
And now?
A 1.
Okay. Very good. Thank you for sharing that. Very
Thank
helpful.
you.
So what are some of the benefits of logosynthesis? This is an integrative approach. It's an easy map to follow, 20 years of history to help make it as simple as possible to understand for you. It's quick, it's gentle, and it can be self-directed, or you can work with a coach or a therapist or a guide or a group. You don't need to know how or why it works, it just does. Although you can study more about why we think it works and how it works. And I will switch to questions and observations in a moment. I just want you to know that I do have a podcast called Healing Tips from the Heart, Intuition with Helpers, Healers, and Guides. I have interviewed 3 people already from this logosynthesis community, and I have more than 37 podcasts and videos available on YouTube, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Audible. And you can contact me for online classes, consultation, psychotherapy in California. And I have a free newsletter if you want to stay in touch, and you can get a hold of me through that email address, drlorihops@gmail.com, or go to my website, drlorihops.com. And I just joined Blue Sky yesterday. So there's my Blue Sky address, drlorihops.bsky.social, and that's a newer social media platform, as if we don't have enough. So those are some ways to contact me. And let's see, I will stop sharing and we can go into discussion. And I want to start with you, Alan. Is there anything else that you wanted to say or add before we open this up to the group? And I thank you so much for your...
You're very welcome. Not really. I guess I'm in peace. That's it. Just feels light. I want to sing. I could do that.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mm.
And does anyone have any questions or comments? So Marianne says, I didn't see a situation, but I found a belief and assume that works too. Yes, absolutely. Sometimes people work more with beliefs than anything. And those beliefs can be really the core of what keeps us stuck. So you are spot on with that one. And hopefully you found some kind of a shifting around that. Yeah, Anna, you don't need to know where your fear was coming from, but it reduced by 50% down to a 4. And maybe there's a little more work to do on that one to get it a little bit lower, or sometimes you just need time to pass and those numbers can drop. Now, I did mention sometimes you have a different, slightly different experience. Like, well, now I'm at a 10. I was at an 8, but now I'm at a 10. But are you at a 10 for what you came in with originally? No. Sometimes it's a no. Sometimes now what it is it's another aspect that comes up.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that happened for you, Alan.
In private practice, yes, people can
But in
move
this
from one
moment,
subject. Oh, no, no, I said on the subject.
okay. So an example might have been that Alan said, now I'm enjoying and laughing with the guitar and my voice, but I don't really know where I'm going to practice, or will I get a following, or can I try a hard song? These are ideas. Or I remember someone told me, oh, you're always off key. You're just tone deaf and you're born that way. That would be a belief. So these are things that can shift, and then we feel activated and we forget that we were actually working on a different aspect of it. So I don't know, that might be helpful to people. Let's see. Same here, stick figures. Yeah, a lot of people have trouble with drawing. Yes. And are there any other questions? You can unmute yourself, I think, if you want to speak or type into the chat. So we have someone here, Heikes. I have more distance to the subject. It is no longer sitting on my chest. That's great. From 10 to an 8. So that might be an example of such intensity that it needs to be worked with a little bit more. And then Sarah says I went from an 8 to a 10, 8 out of 10 to a 0. Fantastic. And so, Sarah, you may be aware, hi, Sarah, that there's a special step to take when you're at a 0, because you want to kind of lock in that experience. But that is beyond the demo for today. But congratulations on that. And then, and Reggie,
Thank
hi,
you.
Reggie. Can you use tapping with this to help bring down the subjective unit of distress? Well, certainly tapping is not part of the logosynthesis protocol. However, if this is something that personally helps for you, you can try it. I would invite you, Reggie, to try another round of logosynthesis without the tapping, and see what happens, because I already know that you know how to tap. And so see if the logosynthesis alone has a different impact for you. Of course, you can always add in tapping yourself if that's something that helps for you. Some people tap while they're saying the sentences. So there's different ways of combining this. The purest way is to stick with the model as we're teaching it, of course. Someone else went from 8 to 3 on the topic on learning to play the piano properly instead of just being able to search keys on their own. Proof is in the pudding. And that person worked on clumsy fingers. And are there other questions or comments? And I'm also wondering, Alan, since it's been a few minutes, if anything in you has shifted even since we checked in last. Because this is what I notice sometimes is you sort of forget about it and then come back again. And sometimes you can see something that you didn't see or feel.
Observing. I saw myself back at the beach playing the guitar. One of the strings broke. I just laugh out loud and say, like, well, that's life. I feel more at ease with whatever may happen and just move on.
Okay. If the images change with the first sentences, woohoo, that's great. That means the energy's moving. Should I continue using the new one for the following sentences? Meaning the following 2 and 3. Thank you. There's 4 minutes left. So what I would say is, use this when you are working with the first 3 sentences and you have your X, whatever that tagline is a representation for the energy field. Even if your images or feelings or reactions are changing in you in the moment, which is a great thing, that means the energy is moving, Stick with the same language for sentence 2 and 3. And the reason why I say that is because you're dealing with different aspects. It's almost like turning on the car and have it run, and then it starts to go and you abandon behind the wheel because the scenery changed. You want to stay with your car. You want to stay driving. You want to stay in the same feeling, in the same state, and in the same intention. And it's great that it's changed. Sometimes people will start to cry or get upset, or other memories will come rushing through. You may even stay with the sentence for 20 minutes or 15 minutes before you go to the next sentence. But stay with the one you chose from the beginning. There is time later to alter it. But please don't alter it in the moment, is my recommendation from my experience and what I've seen. Oh, good. I'm glad that helped so much. Oh, this has been so delightful. I wish you all so much exciting new discoveries with expanded abilities. The world is getting squeezed. We're like a tube of toothpaste, and we're squishing out in all kinds of ways that we don't even know. We don't even know what to anticipate sometimes. Sometimes it's old stuff, new stuff. And there are expanded abilities, I believe, that we all have that are untapped, that are our birthright and our ability to access and to share. And so I hope that this demonstration is one piece to help you move forward with that goal. And it has helped me. I asked, what does this community need today? And this is what I heard. And this is why I created this expanded abilities. So if you want to learn more, if you want to work as a group or work individually, please let me know. I would love to meet you. And it's been a delight. And congratulations, 20 years. 20 years on logosynthesis. We can all think back about where we were 20 years ago today, generally. And maybe even where we'll be 20 years from now. And it's just a delight. And thank you all so much for being so welcoming and interested and engaged.